Uh, just like a normal 48 hours before a game, we did a good job preparing. Got, in this morning, actually got to stay early, which I kind of enjoyed, and played a tough game. They were a good defense and pulled away with a win, which was good.
So the third down to Ben's swing around in the backfield. What'd you like about that call? And can you just take us through that play, big moment of the game? Like.
Yeah, we got Marvin in the backfield. Sort of hit him. They were man, so the linebacker had to run with him, but they got into a five-man front. And so a little bit of, I don't know if it was confusion or if it was just a long way, but those linebackers had to decide who was going to cover Marvin. And, we get speed out in space. That's what we wanted. And, I made my job easy. I saw man, knew if clean release, nobody peeled, he was going to be there. And sure enough, explosive play, it led to our points.
He was in the backfield on an Atkins touchdown, too. How much does it kind of mess with you when you've got him back there?
Well, that one was a good play that we set up. We run that, motion, throw it to him a lot, block up Nate, and then there we just kind of faked it, ran by him, and just a good, well-schemed play.
Every week they ask you about the defense, but 9 sacks and then we had 9 completions. What can you say about their efforts today?
Well, it's almost impossible what they did, but it was impressive. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where I don't get to watch a whole lot of it. I wish I could. They'd be a fun defense to watch, probably an awful defense to play against. I know that kind of from practice, but they turned it on. 9 sacks is a lot of sacks. That's really good for our defense. Still looking for turnovers, but sacks are pretty much like turnovers. They kill drives. So, impressive. Not shocked, but really impressive performance today by them. Just great effort all around. Really good job tackling in space, and obviously a good job covering down the field and getting pressure on the quarterback.
Oh, how good did it feel lowering the shoulder and running into Brown?
It was good. It happened pretty quick. Usually in that situation, trying not to take a hit, but got off the block, and it was kind of a bang-bang play, and I definitely don't want to be the one to get hit. I'd rather be the one doing the hitting.
The win's a win. It was a gritty win, but nonetheless you have come away with a win. When you win in that style and fashion, what does it say about the character of this team?
It says a lot. We were in a weird spot, sort of, a hole, and we had to dig ourselves out of it. And we knew we needed a drive. We felt confident that just get back ahead, and our defense wouldn't allow them to score again. And it's pretty much what happened. We got a good drive, finally got a couple explosives. Evan sort of turned it on, switched things for us once he made that catch and got a first down. Then Marvin with his explosive, and then we got down there and ran a couple runs and got in field goal range. You'd like to score on a drive like that to really put the pressure on them, but we were just glad with points at that point without doing much offensively.
Well, technically this is a road game, but it seemed like there might have been more Broncos fans than Jets fans. Were you surprised at all by the crowd noise from the Broncos fans, and what did you think of the support that you guys had out here?
I thought it was an impressive travel day by our fans for sure. It's nice not having to be on silent cadence. We were able to talk the whole time, obviously, because we have majority of the fans, but it didn't feel like a road game. I guess all week we obviously felt like a road game being in a different country, but the atmosphere was cool. It was really neat to see our fans travel like that, and really played a big role in the game.
Time for a few more for Bo?
Yeah, Bo, in that second quarter, roughly around the last 6 or 7 minutes, you were able to put successive plays together, successive passing games, successive passes. Obviously, that was enjoyable, but what changed in the third quarter when you were looking up to see the plays that you had so much sort of success towards the end of the second quarter? Maybe those options weren't available in the third, was it? Sure.
Yeah, we just didn't have those same plays. We weren't in a very good rhythm at all, and first half we were going quick, getting the ball to different players, spreading the ball around, getting them in certain defenses where we get softer coverage, and then obviously there in the second half felt kind of like the opposite. A lot of run heavy looks, a lot of loaded boxes, and then just complete lack of rhythm. But thank goodness Evan got open on his man-to-man, and then it started to switch, and that drive we were able to do just enough, getting in a little bit of a rhythm, and spread the ball around enough to go down and get points. But just kind of felt like a tale of two different halves, with what we were doing.
Oh, you mentioned,
Last question, Eric.
You mentioned Evan. He's hit a fourth quarter against Philly and then led the team to receiving today. How have you seen him get going? What's he mean for this offense when he's contributing like that?
All right. It's really good for our offense, as you can see. I thought today really in the first half, we tried to get him the ball, and that's what happens when you try to get him the ball. He makes those big plays. That's why we acquired him. That's what we felt confident that he could bring to our team. And then again in the fourth, when we needed it, he was the one that made the catch. But he had the hot hand today. I think carried over from last week. He's playing really good. He's he feels good. He's out there winning matchups. He's just a tough matchup for safeties and linebackers. And I thought that one of the biggest plays of the game was his fourth down that he caught. Ran a great route on man-to-man. And it's just, I think, shows what he could be when we try to target him and get him the.
Obviously, good win on the road, a gritty performance by our defense. It goes without saying. We'll look at the film, and there'll be a number of things in the kicking game and offensively we want to clean up. But nonetheless, it was great to get the win. They're hard to come by, and especially the way it finished late in that game. They're just on the cusp of field goal range, and we made the plays we needed to. So with that, I'll answer questions.
John, just your pass rush in general, 9 sacks.
Yeah, 9 sacks. I mean, you don't rarely hear of negative 20 yards passing, so that's a little unusual. I think they had 80-some yards total offense. Our defense was outstanding today.
Does the 9 sacks, is it even more impressive going against a mobile quarterback?
Yeah, I would say so, because I don't feel like there was a play or two, but for the most part, we kept them in that spot we wanted them. Yeah.
Coach, on the offensive side, you moved the ball in the first quarter and then really slowed down.
Yeah, we're going to look at the tape. We're going to be upset about the pre-snap fouls, the holding, false start, on a 3rd and 1. I think there's going to be a number of things that we're going to look at that we have to clean up with, and obviously that starts with me and our coaching staff. And I felt the same way in the kicking game. I felt we lost that battle, and fortunately our defense, played well enough for us to get the win.
Coach, a year ago you talked about that trip to Tampa and then New York about being season defining.
Well, I think from a schedule standpoint, and I said this, I think, to you guys earlier, the concern in the itinerary was really a Monday Night Football, and then Eastern time zone, 1 o'clock start. Once you get over here, we kind of fell into our normal week schedule. Now, what'll be unusual, in the years past, when you played here, it was always a bye. And we asked for it not to be. Believe it or not, the records of teams, heading home that next weekend was better than the teams that had the bye. Go figure. So, but yeah, each step is a step along the way, and that was an important game.
When you went ugly like that,
It doesn't have to be aesthetically pleasing. Right. Like in 3 weeks, the key is the corrections, and the troubling part of it is that was a point of emphasis going into this game.
Right.
So that's the thing that we have to look at ourselves, what we're doing, how much we're doing. But, yeah, I mean, they put you in those 3rd downs where you really don't want to be in.
How much you pride yourself on your play calling? Is it that last drive where you could have put it away with the first down?
Oh,
Disappointing?
yeah. Listen, it's frustrating, and like I said, we were fortunate defensively. We rose to the occasion.
Just identify when maybe someone who's not always the up back, and when this
Say it again.
Hall, the starting tailback on that fake, lines up. Who's responsible?
I think. Listen, I think my wife knew it was going to be a fake. I mean, it was a half a yard. There was a lot of time spent. The offensive line stayed out, and we're in a heavy group. And I know when the offensive line stayed in there, it wasn't a surprise. It would have been the equivalent of running a sneak, a wedge play. So there wasn't. They just were able to get a half a yard, and you'd like to be able to, cancel those gaps a little bit better.
Coach, so it was a Jets home game.
Excuse me?
Though it was a Jets home game, the majority of the crowd felt like it was for Denver today? What was the atmosphere for you like?
Yeah, I think it was good. I think we traveled well. It's a beautiful stadium. I've never seen it before. I think it would be a tough stadium to play in if there was just one team had, because you could tell the noise doesn't travel in the way it's built. But I was proud of the fans' support. You could feel that coming out in pregame, and then we felt we'd be able to use our cadence, which we did, and I'm pretty sure they did. There's like an ambient noise that you get when you play over here, but no, for those fans that came all the way over here, obviously we're thankful for them.
Sean, was there a part of you at some point in the third quarter you're just sort of shocked during that course of the game? Or on the
No, there's nothing that surprised. Like, you've covered this game long enough. You let a team hang around that's hungry, and again, the relationship I have with Aaron, there's two different types of 0-5 clubs. There's the type that you can see on film they're not playing hard. Like, he's the one evaluating who's staying. It's not the other way around. And so we knew they'd come out and fight. We talked about even the Lions when he was there, and Campbell had a similar start to a season, and then it flipped. Theirs will flip at some point, and you just hope to get through it. But having done this long enough, I don't think. Now you're disappointed you're in a dogfight like that, but you're in it, and so you got to figure it out.
Coach, in the second quarter, the Broncos played their best football. Did you feel that you should be further ahead at halftime?
Say it again.
In the second quarter, you probably played your best football in today's game. Did you feel you should be further ahead?
Yeah, I think. Look, when you think about the first two possessions for them offensively, both of their first two possessions started on our side of the 50 with the fumble and then the kick return. So the first two times our defense go out on the field, they're defending a short field. We were really fortunate, that we held them to field goals. And offensively, we're going to look at the film and see that we left a lot of yardage out there and opportunities out there. But again, the way we played defensively, and it was impressive.
How did you feel about the performance?
The Surtain forced fumble got overturned. When you saw it on the board, did you think it was getting overturned, or did you think it was?
Well, it's hard to tell, and when it gets overturned, you're onto the net. So we were pretty. I think from our upstairs down, there wasn't anything that surprised us relative to fumble, no fumble. There wasn't one of these ones where. Then there were a couple of yards to gain spots that they're able to look at once they confirm or adjust. There's that's you're not challenging that, but I didn't have a good look at it, and then the guys upstairs felt like it was the correct call.
How did you feel about the performance of Matt Parrott? You obviously had a few penalties.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we'll go back and look at the tape, but it wasn't. Listen, it wasn't just him. We had a number of errors that there'll be a lot of us that want to clean some stuff up.
Sean, are you open to playing more international games, maybe in Spain in 2026?
Yeah, when I first started this, there's certain things you do differently when you get older through experience, and one of the things I've found is bringing a team on the road for a period of time is beneficial. In New Orleans, we were relocated 3 or 4 times because of hurricanes. Literally, 3 different times, we spend a week somewhere else, and I always thought our team was better for it. So to answer your question, yes, we were hoping to get this game, and when you get it, look, the way our season sets up now, where you're 9 home, 7 away. When you get this as an away game, it's a plus because it's kind of a neutral field. So I like traveling the team. I think they're around each other, and I think it's a positive.
Sean, what's the balance with the quarterback on sliding for safety versus making sure you pick up whatever they
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, Bo uses his instincts. For the most part, you saw him slide, but then there was the one play where it was, holy cow. Yeah, he's got pretty good instincts, though.
Coach,
Go ahead.
The 4th and 5 in the first half where third to end run, just kind of the decision-making process there.
Just wanted the field position, it was midfield. I felt like we had a couple low number calls that we liked. And I wanted to try to jumpstart something there, but it was a good play by the Q and the tight end.
Coach, a lot of us were, I'd say, pretty surprised by the Jets' strategy at the end of the first half. Was there anything that last drive that caught you off guard?
Well, I think, yeah, I was too. We were waiting either a Hail Mary or something, and then the clock just ran out. So that was a little surprising. That's unusual.
Sean, I was just going to say, through 6 games now, would you consider this a defensive team?
Well, it was a defensive team today, and I hope to consider it a defensive team all season. I mean, I think in order to win, I think that's extremely necessary in our league, and they were something.
Coach, you've now played 6 games, 5 of them have been one-score games. Does that worry you at all?
Well, a year ago we were in those one-score games, and we didn't fare as well, and it worried all of us, including myself. Look, if you tune into the Red Zone channel each week, except for 1 or 2 games, they all are down to a field goal or a possession. Did I want this to be a one-score game? No, but it was. And so fortunately, we've been able to do what maybe last year was a little bit of an Achilles heel.
Building on special teams, Coach, the kickoff thing has changed dramatically.
Yeah.
I know how much pride you take on special teams. Is it schematic or what's? Because you guys are usually really tight on.
Yeah, I think to answer that fairly, we have to go back and watch it. The big return they had, there's contact made. Still, we kind of knew going in they were one of the top. They were in the top 10 in kick return yardage. But I felt in a lot of phases, even when we doubled a jammer, you ought to be able to win a vice look, and they're splitting it or beating us. I think Darren is probably just as disappointed relative to his units as I would be relative to our offense, and nonetheless, as the head coach, you got to be excited for the team win.
Run game efficiency, just sort of what there, and then also.
Yeah, we got in some loaded fronts. I didn't think we played well up front. We started to hit a few runs late. Look, we'll watch the tape and get a better feel for. This was a game I thought coming in we were going to be able to run the ball pretty well, and we weren't as effective as we would have liked to have been, obviously.
And getting Jaleel for the first half, just the thinking there that wanted to happen.
Yeah, well, Tyler was going to miss a day or two, and so he's been having some good weeks of practice. Probably didn't get enough touches today. And there's a little spark with him. I mean, we've seen it in practice, so that was just a 1-for-1 on game day.
Coach, you call this an ugly game yourself. What was the message to the guys at the half to keep them in the game?
Well, I think at halftime there's mixed message. You're talking about where you're at right now, and then offensively, hey, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. That happened a week ago. We didn't get started until the second half. Defensively, I thought we were outstanding, having the short fields that we defended the first 2 possessions. But it was just about finishing and getting the win.
Coach, the pressure you put on the opposing quarterback, he was struggling with his passing game throughout. Did you sense that in terms of the rushing?
Yeah.
He was a bit hesitant in his throwing.
I think, look, when you full blitz someone and you're playing with no deep safeties, you're playing what we call cover zero, the ball's got to come out fairly quick. And they were right on that cusp. We kind of felt the 40 was their yard line to attempt to kick. And so when it gets down to there at the 47, you can't sit back in soft zone cover. You have to really turn the pressure up and then cover them, and we were able to do that. It's hard to contain an athlete like that, and we were able to keep him in the pocket. But I would say those last 3 or 4 snaps were all cover zero, full blitz looks that the ball has to come out fast.
Coach, with the trade deadline coming up, would you be interested in making some additions?
Oh man, yeah. At some point, I think that we would always, to answer your question, though, we would always pay attention to what we might be looking for, and I think we have time to do that, but I'm not thinking about that right now.
You're 3-0 in London, and with the possibility of the NFL talking about every team will play internationally every year, you said to yourself you've made a point of emphasis to stay the full week, and players have talked about wanting to stay the full week.
Yeah.
Do you think that will become the norm around the league?
Great question. Ours is coming from the sleep expert that we use, and we started that schedule in 08, had success with it in 17 or 18, whatever year it was. And so by Thursday, I felt like, here's the difference in how things have changed. The field right outside our hotel was magnificent. And then, of course, the Tottenham Spurs training facility, they had 12 fields. And so never having been to this stadium, the whole week was outstanding. And I think it's different. There was a time when teams maybe went away for training camp to a college for 5-6 weeks, and we don't do that as much anymore. That's why there's something like this that's an attraction for me. Last year we were at Tampa, stayed out east, and then this is a good stretch. Obviously it was good because we picked up some wins. Nonetheless, I think that the cleanup and the debrief and the improvement has to occur relative to where we want to go.
Coach, you seem to be running less sim pressures this week than perhaps you did last week. I wonder how important it was when you played.
Yeah, I think we're a little bit more man.
Yeah.
I think that's a good observation. I think the key was, though, it's easy to say we're going to do this as a pressure. I think the key was how are we going to do that and kind of keep him right where we wanted him. And sometimes that's challenging. And Vance and his staff did a great job. I thought we rushed him well.
The importance of Talanoa as well in terms of running out.
Yeah. Yep. No, that finish was something else.
Coach, in the off-season, you mentioned that this is the 7th team you believe could go all the way and win the Super Bowl, given how gritty.
Yeah, well, and I think, look, each year you set your goals relative to, and I think for every team, it starts with winning your division, right? I mean, there's 4 teams in each division, and that's catching Kansas City, and respectfully, they're one of those teams. And then it's your best seeding, and then to play for a championship. And I felt like we had made a number of acquisitions and draft. We drafted a handful of players that were going to be able to help us, and I still think we're going to be a team that's in the hunt. We got to improve, though. There's a lot of things that you can't do to beat yourself, and I think our penalty numbers are still poor. Our turnover ratio is still it's not anything special. Those things have to improve, and I think our players understand that.
Coach, a lot of talk internally about some of the offensive struggles. Anything that the Jets did schematically?
No, I think they played well up front. Yeah, I think we'll look at the tape. I mean, they certainly defended the run well, and we got some heavy fronts, maybe a little bit more than we saw on film from the Dallas game, but nonetheless, we have to adjust to that.
It looked like they played a lot of man today.
I'd say they played a lot of man, and yet there were still snaps to cover two and some zone. But I would say, yeah, especially in the second half as they were chasing a lead or the game was close, I think you'd be right.
American football is a lot of mental work, and even in close games, that you think about how you think about the game and what do you teach your players to stay positive, and what keeps you positive in games like tonight?
I think the one we were talking about this at the hotel, in sports like British football or soccer, hockey or basketball, there's a spontaneous flow to those games, and the unique thing to our sport is there's a play, then it's stopped, then another play, and so that's uniquely different. I think that, to answer your question, I would consider myself as someone that's always positive. I mean, to have the opportunity to be here still and coaching a team, we got great makeup and grit, the things that you look for as a coach. And, it's like a teacher. You want to see all your students do well and get an A, and that doesn't always happen. But that being said, I'm proud of the way these guys fought here, in the last really 2.5, 3 weeks. And I think our experience coming over here was fabulous. So hopefully it won't be the last, and hopefully it won't be the same nail-biting type game that that we just had. But it was a good win.
Coach,
yes.
Your defense is just the 9th in NFL history to reach 30 plus sacks in 6 games.
Pretty quick.
Yeah. What does it mean for the team looking forward?
I think the feeling in that locker room after the game was, man, you're excited for all of those guys. There's going to be a game where we're going to have to, there's ebbs and flows to a season. And so, there was, it was, those guys are excited in there. It's a win. And most of those guys understand how hard it is to win in our league each week. So, you don't quickly when we get home, we've got to get ready to play a team that just came off a big win, another New York team that is playing with confidence, and we got to get adjusted going back, and I think we will.
And how important is it for the team, for the offense, just to be able to rely on?
Yeah, absolutely. That's our league. That's our league sometimes, and we gave a game ball to, obviously the defense will get one, and then all the people that handle the operations of the travel. There's so much that goes into logistically a trip like this, that you just think that the equipment's there, set up. There's so much that goes into it, and they did a great job.
What's it like to have the defensive player of the year on your team, and then a possible another defensive player of the year candidate in Nick Bonino out there?
We've got a number of them that listen, you're glad that you have them on your team and you're not playing against them. Some things have changed this press conference, so we've gone on for about 20 minutes here, so which is fine. No, listen, the first time I was here, it used to be a joint press conference, meaning we played the Chargers, and so both teams came to the same area. Bo, I'm going to let you go here in a second. But it was an important game that night for Breeze because he was playing, it was the first time he was playing the team that had released him. And just as Bo walked in, I could periff Phillip Rivers. And so both teams, coaches and players used the same press conference. And I think I tried to answer questions for 40 minutes just to, because he and I were like jawing during the game. And so I just continued to field questions. And so when I asked Pat, I said, is it a joint presser? He said, no, we've now got 2 press rooms. So with that, I'm going to put our quarterback on stage.